What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Thanks for watching the club channel. Anyone who's checking this out, just tuning in, or reoccurring subscriber, thanks for popping in and checking it out. Today's topic, while I'm sitting here having my coffee, too far away, having my coffee, wearing my Fight Island shirt, we just came off of a historic, crazy UFC event weekend. It's Tuesday right now. I'm still losing my mind for Justin Gaethje. That was insane. Insane. Insane performance at the White House. At first, I didn't know how that was going to go at all, to be honest with you. And shame on me for counting Justin out, thinking he was like, kind of getting fed to the wolves here. But man, how inspiring. The whole week leading up, I'm like, dude, what if Justin does it? What if Justin does it? I was talking to people in the gym. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if Justin does it, actually? And the more you think about it, remember, like, I had these same thoughts when he was fighting Fiziev for the first time. I was like, dude, they are feeding him to the young wolves. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this to him? He's such a good fighter. Why are they doing this to him? Thinking, Fiziev was going to tee him up. But man, that uppercut he has, and I love it. I love it because, I've watched a bunch of Trevor Whitman and Justin make striking instructionals as well. And they were the first instructionals that ever have bought was Master the Blueprint, the footwork, and then there was another one that Trevor and Justin did. It's like this Champion Series or something. I can't remember. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but that collar tie to uppercut that he has and how he dips his head low and these drop steps that these guys do. If you haven't seen their instructionals, check out their instructionals. When I first started sparring and boxing and kind of getting that kind of stuff together, all my information solely came from those instructionals. Trevor Whitman is a mastermind, how he's moving the feet, how he's got this going. Plus, Justin just is the character for it. I mean, if you're on Instagram or anything right now, I'm sure you're seeing reels and stuff about this kind of Justin Gaethje, his crazy NASCAR style American quotes, man. He's an inspiration. So I'm riding high right now. I'm still thinking about, like I said, it was Tuesday, it happened on Sunday, and I'm still just in a haze about it. I thought about it all day yesterday, and it's just inescapable. But anyways, the real reason of this video is because it has been officially a couple weeks here, and we have had the Pain Corner alive and well in our room, claiming victims, claiming souls left and right, and it's a fan favorite. It's a fan favorite. It's so inspirational that it's gotten to the point where a couple of my students in the teen class have been inspired by the Pain Corner so much that they have gone and made their own YouTube channel called The Pain Corner or Pain Corner. I'll show you that channel after too, just to plug it at the end here. So make sure you stick tuned to the end of the video. You can see that is going to come up. I'll show you their channel. They got some videos up. They got some shorts up. They're having a blast. They're pretty legit wrestlers and jiu-jitsu kids themselves. So you can learn a thing or two from them. I know I already am as well. But the real reason we're getting into this video is because since the Pain Corner has been up, how have we been using it? Is it just sitting there collecting dust again, or are we actually using it? And the answer is we are actually using it. And I am using it because I'm using it for my beginner lessons. And you're saying, why are you putting children, beginners, women, everyone, why are they all getting to the full treatment of the Pain Corner? And it's not because I'm evil. It's because I truly think that the Pain Corner is a hack to learning how to wrestle better, learning how to wrestle faster, learning how to wrestle in more of a kind of a constraints-based approach. And I'll kind of get into everything about that. So that's my pickle sponsor. Anyways, I just want to talk about why is wrestling so hard. I mean, so let's just think about this from a beginner, right? Why is wrestling so hard? As a beginner, you're wrestling. You're on the mats first time. For me, my experience, let's just say, I was a snowboarder, and then I came over to mat sports, jiu-jitsu specifically. But obviously, I'm not going to shy away from the wrestling. Wrestling, you've got hand fighting, head positioning, balance, where your legs are, your stance, your movement, talking about getting in on a takedown, that isn't going to get someone taken down. You have to still finish the takedown. So there's layers and levels, there's counters, there's chain wrestling. There's so many components. Motion, movement, while you're engaging, clinches, sprawls, defensive wrestling, all that stuff, cross faces, underhooks, overhooks, what angles, my brain's just popping up with all these different topics in regards to wrestling. It's an ancient sport. There's a lot of things to it. Not as much as jiu-jitsu, not as many positions, not as many things like that with jiu-jitsu. However, you do have this concept of needed balance in the sport of wrestling. So as a beginner, when you're first doing this stuff, that's a lot to process and juggle and balance, right? It can be very, very hard. And if you're starting later in life, your body is not moving like an animal anymore. You're moving more of like a civilized human. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying you've kind of left that little mammal animal kind of, tumbly rolly kind of bendy portion of your life behind it. Now you're an adult, you're stiffer, you use your hands, you're things like that. So it's a little different too. You've done lunges in the gym. That'll change it too, penetration steps and stuff like this when we get into that. So just different concepts like that. I really want you to think about it and try to understand where I'm coming from. So as a beginner, having that and failing at all that, it's not like, oh, I missed it again. It's like you're getting punished for it. Like if you just start kind of wrestling live a little bit, or even if you drill for a while and then you start wrestling live a little bit, you're going to get punished, for not being at a operating level of competency in a lot of these fields, right? So that leads to a ton of frustration, and it's kind of tough, and it's like, wow, and your neck. So I used to remember my neck used to be so sore from getting just collar tied and pulled down and collar tied to pull down, and it would wear on me. Okay, so where are you going with all this? I think the wall, wrestling up against the pain corner, the wall, it actually helps you learn those things. It helps you. Now, why does that help you? How does that help you? Well, because by putting someone up against the wall, you're limiting some of the variabilities, right? If I'm attacking someone up against the wall, and my goal, because my coaches framed it, keep them up against the wall at all costs, I'm going to experiment with pushing them up against the wall. I'm going to use my hands to push them up against the wall. I'm going to use my elbows to push them up against the wall. I'm going to use underhooks, overhooks to push them up against the wall. And I'm going to naturally, because I don't feel boxed into a technique, because I feel boxed into a task, keep them against the wall. That's a pretty open-ended statement, right? Like, keep them against the wall. Okay, that's my goal. When that's my goal, the means of me doing that kind of just call upon any any kind of past experience I've had in my life. Like, oh, I've held boards up against walls before, and I've done this before. Or I've held like a shelf up while I'm screwing, so I've had to use my elbow so I can screw with this hand. So there's a shelf on the wall. So I have other experience holding things against walls in my life. I've never, or maybe I have held things up with my head. Maybe I've got screws in my mouth and I'm like hanging a shelf and I'm like putting my head up against the wall and I'm trying to take the screws out of my mouth and overhead and hold the thing on the wall. Like, we do have experience as humans in our lives. So I think that open-ended task of just hold this person up against the wall is kind of the secret. Eventually, the beginner, will discover, I've seen it so many times. They start out with their hands out far, pitting someone against the wall. It fails a bunch. They double down. They get closer with their elbows. They get closer. Eventually, they're chest to chest, and they found good head position. And I haven't taught them any of that. That's just stuff that they've worked out on their own. They're like, oh, this works better for this task. And another thing, because the wall, we're standing, right? Okay, you've heard the expression, idiom, fish out of water. That just means someone's not in a comfortable environment. Think about this. Most of the time when humans are on their back or laying down on like a floor or a horizontal surface, guess what they're doing? They're sleeping. They're not even consciously awake, okay? So yeah, you are horizontal for maybe a third of your life. However, you're not consciously there. So it's basically when you put a person on the ground for jiu-jitsu, for example, they are a fish out of water. Sure, they have spent a third of their life horizontal, but they are a fish out of water. However, if you put them up against a wall, and this is how I'm framing this, they're not a fish out of water because they're standing, okay? However, they're not necessarily worried about their balance either because the wall is a stable structure. So this is where it's a little interesting to me. The wall, the vertical wall, is just a vertical floor, okay? When someone's laying down, they're not worried about their balance either. And when someone's pushed up leaning against the wall, they're not worrying about their balance either. However, they feel more comfortable because they are still standing. And that is why I think that environment kind of hacks and calls upon all of the past experiences that humans have. Because surely, even if you wrestle none in your life, but you've been alive for like 25 years, yeah, you know how to reach for things, how to like grab things, how to move things, how to snake your arm in and around an object to like get to something, or like plug something in. Like, okay, like imagine like plugging something into an outlet and you're standing and you're like leaning over and you're trying to reach under and grab, and you finally, like, humans, we can do this stuff when we're standing. So my point is, putting someone up against the wall, what are you doing? You're taking their balance away, their need for balance, okay? You've lessened their need for balance because they're up against a stable structure. They're calling upon previous experience with their own bodies, moving things around, pummeling, right? So now they're learning how to upper body pummel, how to have correct head position, how to block for people kind of going for their ribs and putting pressure on them. And then you change the task. You say, get off the wall. So now the person's learning how to fight off of the wall using underhooks to pry. And then you start adding other elements like the offensive person is now allowed to start wrapping around legs, butts, bodies, like body locks, like full on circles around them for takedowns and stuff. And now you add into this constraint stuff that the offensive person can take the person down off the wall too. Now this would change a whole bunch of things. Obviously, the person who's on the wall isn't going to be learning sprawls in this case, because you cannot sprawl when you're on the wall. You're up against the wall. There's no such thing as a sprawl. But you will learn how to start digging for underhooks and prying people up. And lastly, when you're the offensive person and you're supposed to be taking people down off the wall, you learn how to turn corners because you can't drive through the wall. So when I'm running into a wall as the offensive person going for this takedown, I need to learn how to pivot and drive corners and push them into a different direction. So I think both offensively and defensively, you're simplifying and teaching all of these overwhelming concepts that make wrestling so successful, but you're teaching them in an environment better for learning. And then eventually, I'm not saying you stay on the wall forever. Eventually, you start bringing that knowledge to the open room. Sure, there'll still be some frustration, but there'll be less of it. And you'll have more skills equipped to deal with the new challenges and frustration you are going to be facing. So I just think it's a great gradual learning process because of the wall. And I've already kind of shared some of my personal experience. I mean, I put beginners, kids, private lessons, women, children, newbies, anyone on the wall. That's just what I do. And I put them on the wall and I say, okay, we're going to play get off the wall. That's what I call it. And it's the rules are in the game. Get off that wall. So they try to work their way off the wall. I'm holding them. Granted, I'm holding them gently. I'm kind of funneling them to their discoveries, but not with my mouth, with my kind of positioning. I'm kind of making the gaps obvious. And then as they rep it out a little bit and they discover their pathways, I'm a learning machine too. I start to close that up, which is another realistic challenge you're going to find in jiu-jitsu. If you keep hitting the same sweep on the same person, like, dude, they're going to wise up to it. You're going to have to find something new. So I'm also simulating that principle of jiu-jitsu where this adaptability feature, I'm another human being who has a thinking brain too. I can solve problems as well. I've figured you out, bud. Now you need to adapt. So I'm promoting this kind of unconscious cycle of adaptation within them as well. So anyways, I start kind of closing the holes up. They start looking for different ways out, yada yada yada. Have them keep me against the wall, yada yada yada. Have them start to look for takedowns. Maybe I do show one takedown you could do where you finally, latch around their hamstrings and legs, knees, change level, go straight down the elevator shaft. Like, that's another thing with this penetration steps. A lot of times with penetration steps, people kind of get them screwed up. One, because it's awkward to lunge out and not put that knee down first. Like, you see it all the time with people when they're learning penetration steps. They go and they just drop at their knee, but that's not what's happening. The penetration step, you have to go out and down to get under into someone's legs simultaneously. And eventually it just kind of turns into like this kind of thing, like where you just kind of go in. But you're going out and down, and then you're using that leg to even propel you forward for another push. So you go like you drop to you lunge out, but kind of drop your foot here, and then when this whole entire shin drives out, you gain a whole nother like leg length into the partner's hips, which continues to push them off balance so you don't get sprawled on. And then usually you turn the corner or chain either a high crotch or like some doubles or singles or something. There's so many kind of things, but that's just kind of the basic essence of it. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, when you're up against the wall, I teach them, obviously you can't penetrate into the wall, right? And the person's sandwiched there. So you just go bloop, straight down. And these quick level changes, you might say, well, that's not really going to work. But I think you'll find that it actually does work. I even had people, a lady who's been training for a while now. I've just been recently doing fence work stuff with her and wall work with her, and now she just hit a blast double out of like nowhere on someone else because she's using the technique she's got from the wall. And she said, "Oh, that's because of the wall. I never used to shoot doubles like that, but that's the cleanest double I've ever hit ever because I'm going right for their knees, kind of bundling them up like an animal, like hog tying them around their knees." And basically where I'm going to kind of go with this is I think you'll find that this style of takedowns is actually the style of takedowns you probably want. I like it because it kind of centers around a lot of upper body stuff. Jiu-jitsu's a lot of upper body, kind of Greco, kind of shoulder, what's the word for it? Pummeling and kind of positioning. And this is it. So here, I'm going to pop over here to the screen share and I'm going to show you, first of all, let's just talk, why is this even legit? Why is this even worth learning? UFC, most people like learning jiu-jitsu. This, in my experience, is what I've found, and this is how I feel about it myself. So I'm a little biased, but most people like learning jiu-jitsu and combat sports. Why? So they can protect themselves if they need to, and they know how to deal with situations. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to say, yeah, I only train jiu-jitsu and combat sports so I can, I think it's just kind of implied, like, oh, we train this. Yes, it's a sport. I love to compete in the sport of jiu-jitsu with the point system and all this stuff, but, also, it feels pretty good to know if some rando attacked me on the street because they're drunk or out of their mind or something, I'm probably going to be okay and safe, or at least be able to get away. Not necessarily hurt them, because that's not also the best route either in some cases, but I'll be fine, I'm only bringing that up because here we are. This is the UFC. This is Merab, holds the record for the most takedowns in the UFC with 119 successful takedowns. So we have Merab, GSP, Gleison Tebow, Clay Guida, and DJ, Mighty Mouse. So anyways, okay, so Merab's got the most. Let's pop over here. Let's look at Merab's. Let's look at Merab's takedowns. So here we go. Boom. And we're just going to kind of check these out. So Merab's in the red. Look at that. He's snatching. He's reaching under. He's bundling the legs. Up against the fence. Bundling the legs. Stepping over. Up against. Oh, that's in the middle, but he's bundling the legs. He's down. So right here, prime example. This is that bottom of the elevator I was talking about. Now, this could have either happened a couple ways. He could have either shot this here, bundled the legs, and then this guy moves back to the fence. But look at here. He's down. He's just wrapping the legs. And what does he do? Merab turns the corner right up here against the fence. This is the stuff we were talking about. Now, this stuff's super intuitive. Super, super, super intuitive. Once you put someone on the fence for a while, this becomes kind of super intuitive. Look at he's kind of turking that leg as he's coming out. You'll see feet will come into play. These are things that your beginners will learn, or you will learn by just spending time on the fence, getting creative. Look at that outside trip, or that leg reap thing, whatever. There's a judo name for it, I'm sure of it. He's on the back, guys. You give up the back on the wall. Look, he's just riding those hips, pick up, set down. Okay, so the point is, let's watch this one. Look at this. There's no level change here either, by the way. There's no penetration step here. Obviously, this is MMA, so they're hand fighting. Listen, this is how I think about it. They're hand fighting in wrestling. Their stance and motion, hand fighting thing, is changed with boxing. Boxing's your new hand fighting. You want to set up a takedown? You do it with punches. Okay? So if you want to get someone's hands drawn up, they have to respect the punches, man, or else they're going to get cracked in the face. And if they're getting punched in the face, why take them down? But if they're pretty slick at defending and going and moving, then we'll shoot for takedowns, okay? So use your boxing, boom, 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 to set up the takedown. Now look at this. This isn't a shot that Merab's doing. He's changed levels slightly. He's sagging, he's reaching, he's tripping, and he's going to take him down right here. Whoops. You're going to take him down. Bang, bam, bam, bam. That's nice. Fence takedown, working on the body. Let's see some in his later career here. Who's he fighting here? I don't know what that is. Fence. I mean, it kind of looks the same. Look at that. Knee pick. Okay, that's another thing, right? So here's a takedown from out in the open. Guys, where's the penetration step here? He disguised his hand fighting with this punch right here. He's punching him. He knee picks this one, and he drives through it. I bet you they end up on a fence pretty soon. I bet this guy's going to get to the fence to get up. Here we go. Boom. Nice. Look at that. Beautiful timing. No penetration step. But there is this kind of level change. Merab just kind of bends over. Look at this right here. So deep on this on these legs here. All right. So this is kind of the point I'm trying to make. Let's just go through a couple more. We don't just exhaust this, but Merab's got the most. You know, and this guy, iconic. Khabib, Nurmagomedov, takedowns, iconic. Look at this. So this is the stuff. This is what defense wrestling looks like in the beginner's class, to be honest with you. In the kids' class. Look at this guy right here. You say, wow, he is all bent over. Look at him go. And look at even the way you defend. Edson Barbosa's defending this differently. When have you ever see wrestlers stand like this while they're defending takedowns? Well, it's because the sprawl doesn't exist. All right? So it's just a different mechanism. So look at this. He's pulling on that leg in a trip. He's wrestling's turning the corner. Look at this. He's riding the legs, couple punches just to soften him up. Body lock. Here we go. Upper body exchange. Now he's into the leg, pulling it out, dragging it out, manipulating the balance on the wall. So this is something that's really neat. This is another thing that's kind of cool about fence wrestling. And you're going to say, well, this is out in the open, right? Look at this super low single that he's going to go for. This exists on the wall too, and your beginners or you will find this stuff. Sometimes instead of wrestling at the hamstrings or at the back of the knees, sometimes you go straight onto the ankles and you hog tie those ankles. And because they can't sprawl away from you, get their feet away from you, you have great success with being super, super low. So once again, it's like you're riding in an elevator and the elevator breaks, you go whoosh, straight down, boom, and you're right there. And that's what happens here. And those skills you develop on the wall don't only exist there. They can explore outside. But I'm just saying, you're going to learn that. How many times do you think this guy will fail doing this if he had to learn this from scratch in the middle of the room? Probably a lot of times, right? That's the learning process, especially for these combat sports, jiu-jitsu, judo, and wrestling, even boxing and stuff, and Muay Thai and stuff. I guess all combat sports, I guess you could say. You're going to fail a bunch. And listen, failing's not just like, oh, silly me. Failing's usually like, oh, I'm getting beaten up now because I took the risk. And that can hinder people from even taking risks, by the way. Whole can of worms there. But The point is, if you practice this stuff in this environment on the wall or the pain corner, for example, your success rate and your skill rate will build without frustration and failure as much, and then you can hit this stuff other places. So he just hit the low single, turn into the corner, because that's what he knows to do. Hey guys, this is kind of a similar position to that kind of like sprinter stance Edson Barbosa was in a little bit. Different position for this guy, but let's see what he does with it. He's going to ride it. He's going to climb the ladder. Look at, he's building height. He's building height. He's off the wall. Boom. And now he does the takedown. So it'll integrate into some of your moves. Yeah, look at this. Look at that. Body lock, boom, out. What a dog. Look at this. Body lock, pulling that leg out. Boom, knocking the legs out. Look at this, inside trip. Where's the penetration step? What's kind of cool is that was a prime example right there. This is a prime example. Okay, you could either teach everyone or practice inside trips. You go out, practice them, and they should be practiced in the open. You should. But you could just spend time on the wall learning inside trips like we saw, like even things like you're just trips in general, learning how to manipulate balance like we just saw here. And then with that skill you're developing, you end up in the open mat in some kind of over-under or some kind of a body lock situation. And then you work on those trips there too. You know? So it just carries over. Once again, does that look like an Olympic wrestling single leg to you? DC is an Olympic wrestler, right? Does that look like an Olympic wrestling single leg if you pictured it? No. Granted, this guy's kind of coming in. Is this Roy Nelson? Granted, this guy's kind of coming in. But look at that head positioning. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. But why does it work? That's similar to how you'd behave on the wall. Similar. Just so deep in those hips. Now the finishes can carry over. Boom. So integrating them is key. That is Roy Nelson. Bro, he looks like a Padawan in this with his braid. He looks like Anakin from second Star Wars. Trying to trip. Like, this is all of this is drillable on the wall. Final case study here. Just because I had it pulled up. 27 minutes into this video, guys. Sorry about this. Gilbert Burns, fantastic jiu-jitsu guy. But look at this. Dragging. Helpless. These are skills, great skills. Look at this. Low shot. Right there. Boom. This one's a classic. I love this takedown right here. This takedown on the wall. Watch. Chimaev drives him to the wall. And I call this one like a lawn chair or like a wall sit one, where you're on this double and you just pull their feet out. Boom. And you go right to their back. I love this one. You just put them up against the wall, pin them, then reverse. Pull those knees right off from underneath them as you stand. They go down. And you get right there. So it's a great spot. It's a great thing. While I'm over here, I just want to quickly, I don't want this video to go on too much longer. The Pain Corner, Pain Corner VT. Check that out. They've got their videos already up. I've watched all these on my personal YouTube. This is the club channel. But look at these guys. They're working hard over here. They've got shorts. Look at them. They got their shorts. You can learn Imanari rolls. Look at this. Let's see this. Boom. Get in here. You're going to work on getting that cross hamstring going on here. Spinning for the Kani Basami here. Look at this. And it's cool. They slowed it down. Let's give it a like on the club channel here. Whoops. And yeah. So you can learn a lot from these guys. All right. Where's the other one?
Okay. So
here they're
this is the fireman's carry. A move usually used in wrestling.
They got a little fireman's carry one.
So
all right.
Effective move.
So
right here.
So yeah, so that's basically it. All I wanted to kind of talk about. Go give them a. I just give them a like here. Let me like it real quick. Okay, go check them out. Follow them. The big supporters of this channel. We're big supporters of their channel. Love what they're doing over there. So give it a look. And also my final closing thoughts for you all. Go ahead and try some of this fence wall wrestling. Trust me, dude. Like, the proof is in the pudding. Give it a shot. Just go see. I'm telling you, within a couple weeks, your grappling's going to change. And just because it was formed and built on the wall in that environment doesn't mean that that's the only place it exists. Okay? You don't want to be a fish out of water in there or out of there. But this skill, I believe the skills that you build on the wall can translate out very well. However, the skills that you have out of the wall, I don't think necessarily translate a ton into the wall. Elements do, but I think it's definitely like riding a bike. Okay, you learn to ride a bike with training wheels on. From there, you take the training wheels off. And I just think the wall is kind of like training wheels for you. There are specific skills you will develop only to the wall. I agree. But on the large part, for an average person who wants to do this as a hobby or who really enjoys it and who wants to kind of speed up the process, the wall is the training wheels of the wrestling. Okay? So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I'll keep you tuned in. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe. Go check out Pain Corner VT, the other channel, and I appreciate it. Comment. Let me know if you wanted me to talk about anything else as the days kind of go on. And congrats to Justin Gaethje. Big win. Big friend of the channel, Justin Gaethje. Thank you very much for all your support, Justin Gaethje. All right. Peace out, guys. Have a good one. And go train, all right? Go train.